This is the Blue Chip Prospect and Prospect Dawn collab that everybody's been waiting for. Everyone's told their entire family about. And we are going to be talking about our top 32 and kind of debating where we are and if we see this draft similarly, because I know that there's a lot of teardrops in this class. So, Blue Chip Prospect, thank you so much for coming on to my channel. And this is very exciting for me.
Since you're going to be on my channel, thanks to you for coming on my channel too.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is incredible. I've watched you for years. Your channel.
I guess.
So
it would be weird otherwise.
yeah, totally. Yeah, totally get that. It was your channel for sure. It was, but for the first pick, like of your top 32, who do you have?
Well, basically, basically everyone. I have Matthew Schaefer, but for me, it's a tier. I would say that anybody who picks number one, whatever their need is, whether it's defense or offense, you can go with Matthew Schaefer or Michael Misa. I don't really have an issue. I think Matthew Schaefer might have a little bit more of an ability to take over the game. A little bit he has more elite attributes into his game. I think he projects more as a first line, first pair defenseman, number one defenseman for a team. So I would take Matthew Schaefer if it was me, but I can understand a team going with Michael Misa since I have them in the same tier basically.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Matthew Schaefer is just the top prospect in this class. When I talked to him, he said that his pro comp was Cale Makar, and if you could get a Cale Makar in any draft, you take him number one. Yeah, so top pair elite defenseman.
I don't really see him that way. I see the offensive skills. I see the defensive skills. The skating is similar. He's definitely an elite skater, right? But I'm not sure I see the offense as a Cale Makar. My comparison for him is more like a Miro Heiskanen, a guy who still put a lot of offense on the ice, but not at the same level as a Cale Makar, not as natural with the puck on his stick, and not the same level of shot too. If I'm not mistaken, Makar is 30 goals or something like that. So yeah. I mean, it's a big time projection to say I'm going to be Makar.
He actually got his 30th goal when I was in the building at the United Center.
Yeah,
he scored two goals, and one of them, it was 5 seconds left in the game, and it was so deflating. But Cale Makar is just a generational defenseman. I think that both Matthew Schaefer and his assistant coach at Erie both compare him to Cale Makar, but it's just such a hard comparison. Obviously, if you're anything close to Cale Makar, even 80% of Cale Makar, that's probably a superstar player. Cale Makar is just put on such a high pedestal, and Miro Heiskanen is actually the person that I have on my spreadsheet. I've talked to a ton of people, so that's a great comp for him. And if you're getting a Miro Heiskanen, that is a number one pick in my opinion. So that's
100%. And I mean, he's gonna be really good no matter what. Whether he's Heiskanen or Makar, he's gonna be a number one defenseman. It doesn't really matter at that point. But it's just when I remember when I watched Makar. He was something else with the puck on his stick. His skating is even more dynamic than Matthew Schaefer. His handling is more dynamic. His capacity to see the ice, shoot the puck from the blue line, get down low in the zone and shoot the puck from lower. He's just, I don't know. There's a little difference there.
Cale Makar might actually be a rich man's Matthew Schaefer, which is Matthew Schaefer is incredible, but Cale Makar just might be on a different tier. But no matter what, him with Noah Dobson, I think would be one of the best lines in the entire NHL.
Yeah, for sure. Do you see Michael Misa in the same tier, or?
Yes, I actually do. Yeah, when Michael Misa put up the exact or similar numbers to Tavares as well as Patrick Kane, I think he would have been the number one pick if he would have had an average OHL season last year, which I think he had a little bit of a below average season if we're talking about what scouts and teams wanted, but he had exceptional status. Michael Misa was always supposed to be a top 3 pick in this class. I don't know why people were pushing him outside of their top 4 earlier in the season. He never wavered. He was always my second prospect in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
It was actually James Haggins and Michael Misa. Matthew Schaefer was actually 5, and then I had Frondell 4, but that was in my November rankings after my summer scouting and everything. But just because obviously James Haggins is for the next couple picks, but he didn't have the best season. 37 points, 37 games with players like Gabe Perreault on his line. Michael Misa just terrorized OHL defenders and teams. You saw a different player this year than we saw last year, and I think that he silenced a lot of the doubters of what they thought Michael Misa could potentially be.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, where do you have
Did you have him
Misa?
at number 2, like even last year?
Last year, I thought going into the 2024 draft, he was my number one player.
He was your number one over Higgins.
Yeah, I wanted the Blackhawks to take Luke Misa just because of Michael Misa, and he fell to the 5th to the Calgary Flames, which I was still upset about, and I think he's a good player too. But I really wanted the Blackhawks to get Luke Misa, just because I thought it would be
another speedy small forward.
Yeah.
They don't have
we
enough.
love him anyway, so why not?
Exactly. Yeah. So you were asking if I had Michael Misa at number 2. Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously. Since I have them in the same tier,
same
I
tier.
think Matthew Schaefer has a little bit of an edge, but Michael Misa obviously at number 2 for me, and I'm pretty sure it's the same thing for you.
Yep, 100%. Okay, one quick question on Michael Misa. What do you see his upside case being?
The upside in terms of NHL projection as a player or like production?
Yeah, like NHL projection as a player, like maybe player comparison.
Yeah, I think I used like Stützle, but I don't think he has. I don't know if I can say Stützle. Stützle is a hell of a player. He's a bit more dynamic with his skating, but he's a bit in the same of a free flow type of player. You know, he's not that structured. Misa is not necessarily a structured player the way he plays. He's free flowing, just going with whatever's in front of him. And Stützle is really that way too. Like, well, you understand what I'm trying to say, right? So, I think Tim Stützle, something like what would be a good projection.
Yeah, and Tim Stützle is one of the best players, like U23 in the entire league. So if you're getting him, that's pretty good comp. And then for number 3 on your board, who do you think is in this spot?
Me, I have Caleb Desnoyers at number 3. So it's a player that moved up my board all season, and around like December or January is where I like solidified him into my top 5, and then kept moving up from there. And then with the playoff that he's having, I have no choice but to have him number 3. Even though I really, really love a player like Porter Martone, I was debating both of them at number 3, and decided to go with Desnoyers first. He's a center. There's not that much of a difference in size. There's the difference in weight, though. But and both, they have a little bit of the same problem. Like the pace is not necessarily NHL speed yet. There's a little bit of work to go there. But I think that Caleb Desnoyers is just a smart player. So intelligent with the puck. He's a very good distributor. He works just as well defensively as he does offensively. He's not necessarily like the best. Like a lot of people are saying, like he's incredible two-way player, he is not right now. But at least he works really, really hard defensively, or at least just as well as he does offensively. So you can see a path for him to become a very strong two-way forward. So I think number 3 is well deserved for him.
Do you have a player comp for Caleb Desnoyers? Because I've seen some people say Jonathan Toews, and if that is the case, the Blackhawks should be drafting him.
Yeah, honestly, like most people, I hate player comp. They're really hard. You never find a player that's like the same. I understand the Jonathan Toews. I think he has a similar type of hockey mind, similar type of compete inside of him. A guy that can score as much as he can make plays. Probably very good in the face-off dots and all the stuff that Jonathan Toews came with. But I was more on the side of a player like a Sean Couturier or something like that. It's more the style that I see him develop than a Toews. I mean, Toews was one of the best center in the NHL. I don't necessarily project Caleb Desnoyers to be one of the best center in the NHL, but maybe a level under that. But Sean Couturier, like in his prime, not a Sean Couturier right now. Sean Couturier like a couple years ago. I think it's a fair comp, like a player that's really good defensively as well as offensively, can score, can make plays, move the puck close to the net, and that type of player.
I'll talk about Caleb Desnoyers in a second here, but I have Porter Martone at 3,
Yeah.
which I was really debating a multitude of players here because I think Porter Martone's skating moves are a little overblown. I think that he's he's not a slow skater. It just takes him a very long time to speed up. I compare him to like an old-timey car where it takes a long time, but once it gets going, it moves pretty well. Porter Martone has incredible skill, in my opinion. He's a really good playmaker. He has underrated vision. I think that he can score at a high level and put up points at a high level, given that he could be a play driver, like a low-end play driver, in my opinion. But if he has a play driver on his team, like a line mate that he has really good chemistry with, I could totally see him putting up absurd numbers, like 75-plus points. Like, that's just the floor. Maybe, like, obviously not out of the gate, but give him 3 to 5 years, I think this guy could absolutely be a point producer at the next level, power play player. He could get in front of the net. I think that he has the upside to use his body more. Like you said, him and Caleb Desnoyers, they are very similar in size. I think he's 1 inch taller, maybe.
Yeah, he's heavier though. He's
like 30 pounds heavier. Yeah.
Desnoyers on the lean side, but I mean, there's room to grow. It's not like he's not going to top out at 170 pounds. At some point, he's going to grow into his body. But like Porter Martone is already there. So, but like you said, underrated vision for sure. Like a lot of people talk about him as a goal scorer, and yes, he can score goals, but I think he's a fantastic playmaker. I think his vision and the speed at which he can make decision with the puck on his stick, the speed at which he can receive the puck and send it back to a player in motion right away. He sees the ice really well, and his decision making is like lightning quick. There's no, like, he doesn't need to hold onto the puck. Like, it's one of the things I was thinking about Demidov last year. Is like, that guy needs to have the puck on his stick to make plays. He's like, he needs to move around the ice, break the defensive structure, even though there's not much of a defensive structure in the MHL, but like, he needs the puck on his stick, right? Martone doesn't. Martone, he can just wait at the blue line. Somebody gives him the puck at the blue line. He goes down a little bit and he make a pass into the slot, or he makes any play. He needs like a fraction of a second to think, see, and make the pass. And that's something that I really, really like about players. So that's why I have him pretty high.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. Very well said. I mean, when you watch Porter Martone, a lot of people that I talk about just talk about his scoring prowess. And yeah, he has that, but yeah, his playmaking is super underrated. He's a really good passer. I feel that, you saw what he did a little bit with Celebrini in his couple games with him. Mm-hmm. Like, not to make this a mock draft, but if the Sharks did see a lot and they wanted to pair up Celebrini, Will Smith and Porter Martone, if Porter Martone says that he's going to start using his body more with his 35 more pounds than Caleb Desnoyers, I just feel like that would be a perfect fit for them too. So he could go as high as 2 in this draft.
Yeah.
He's my 3rd overall pick, but I think that he could be either a high riser or could go down to 6. I think there's heavy variance with his draft stock just because of the skating issues.
Yeah, and I see a little bit the Caleb Desnoyers and Porter Martone debate at number 3 and number 4, a bit like the Shane Wright and Slavkovsky debate. It's basically, what do you need? And like the Habs went with Slavkovsky, and it's working well because he's playing with the Suzuki and Caulfield, and he's creating one of the very good first line in the NHL. And I think, let's say for Chicago, you have a Martone on the wing with a Bedard in the center. It's going to create a hell of a duo too. So it's really like, I think Martone probably has more offense than Desnoyers, but Desnoyers is the center. He has more two-way game for now. And so it's really like the same kind of debate, like I said, as Shane Wright and Slavkovsky back in 2022.
Yeah, that's a great comparison.
And weren't we supposed to like build the top 32? Now we're just stating our top 32s, but
so we'll have Matthew Schaefer and then Michael Misa as our first 2.
Yeah.
Who would you go at 3? Because Caleb Desnoyers for me is at 5, which that's high, or I think that's way too low. But if we're both talking about our rankings, where do you have Porter Martone? Is it 4?
Yeah.
Okay. So would we want to put Martone at 3, or why would you put Caleb Desnoyers over Martone here?
Well, the reason why I have him there is first the playoff. The playoff, he's been incredible. He's the driver of the team. Obviously, they have a good team, but he's like the best player in the queue in the playoff. So right there, and it's really important. A player that has very good production in the playoff is something that I look at a lot. Like if you have a very good season, but in the playoff you're a little. A bit like Misa did, right? Had a rough playoff, but I mean, he has a big body of work. So, like, I prefer Desnoyers because of the projection and type of two-way game, and because he's a center, and because he's also a very good playmaker, a bit like Martone, but I don't think he's at the same level. So I have absolutely no issue with Martone at number 3 because, like I said before, like yesterday when I was like looking at my top 32 for this podcast, I was debating who am I putting first, and I went with Desnoyers because of the playoffs. So
I think Martone would solidify himself for 3 as me, but I would have I think Desnoyers probably would go 4, even though I have James Hagens higher than him. Just like Desnoyers is one of those players that he could be a light Selke version, like on your team. Like maybe not the best defensive player in the entire league, but he's certainly one of the top defensive players on your team. Like I comp him to like a superstar version of Jason Dickinson, and not like superstar, just superstar version of him. Because Jason Dickinson on the Blackhawks, like he has done so much, like over the course of the last couple of years, where he solidified himself as one of the best defensive players in the entire league. Like maybe not top 3, but definitely top 5 or top 10. And he gets it done offensively, but I think Caleb Desnoyers has a lot better offensive skill. So if we have Martone 3 and Desnoyers 4, I would not mind that at all. And I do think that Desnoyers might go ahead of Martone, just because a couple months ago I gave this a 50-50 of who's going to be better in 5-10 years, Desnoyers or Martone, just because they both, it's like pick your poison. Which one do you want more? And if Desnoyers gets to that offensive upside with his line mates, he is going to be better than Martone. It's just kind of what it is, in my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think 1 Schaefer, 2 Misa, 3 Martone, 4 Caleb Desnoyers. It's perfect. Like it's not a mock draft, right? It's whatever you think is best, and I think it makes a lot of sense. So you chose Martone at 3, I chose Desnoyers at 4, so you can go with number 5, I guess.
So for my 4th player, but 5 on the board, I'm going to say James Hagens, because I think what James Hagens does as a playmaker is absolutely incredible. Every one of the top 5 except Desnoyers or Martone probably, I think, does not have a chance at the number 1 pick. I think James Hagens certainly does, just because of, I think it's a very low chance, but I think that he still does have a chance to go number 1 overall, just because of he's a hometown kid. Islanders, they have no, Matthew Schaefer is a Leafs fan, and last time they drafted a Leafs fan number 1, Tavares, he left and he went to the Leafs. So I think that you get James Hagens, you're going to have him for 15 years. James Hagens is a great playmaker. He didn't really have, he had a good season in the NCAA. He's playing against 22 to 24-year-olds, sometimes even 25, in the NCAA. So James, he had 37 points in 37 games on a line with Gabe Perreault. And I think that's where people think, why wasn't he better? Because Gabe Perreault was absolutely killing it with Ryan Leonard and Will Smith. But Will Smith, if you're going to compare James Hagens to someone, I think it would be in the same tiers like a Frank Nazar and Will Smith, and maybe lower end Will Smith, but higher end Frank Nazar as a prospect. Yeah. And I just think that would be really great to have as a top 5 pick. Who do you think?
Yeah, well, I have him number 6, so 5 is really not that far. He constantly been getting lower in my ranking throughout the year. Obviously, like most people, he started at number 1 and then number 3, and now he's number 6. But every time I do it like, and I'm a little bit scared of my decision because anytime he can explode and become the player everybody envisioned him to be. Last year at the U18s, he was dominant. This year at the U20s, he was maybe not dominant, but very, very good. Yeah, last year at the US NTDP, he was record-breaking good. So it's hard to push that player down. But at the same time, when I look at him this year, and I just made my video about him this week, I watched hours and hours of clips on Instat, and like I can't push it. I can't put him more than number 6 right now. And at number 6, I wanted to put him further than that down the list, but because he always plays emotion, because of what he did in the past, because of 37 points in 37 games is still good, but it's not exciting. It's basically similar to Beniers. It's similar to the guy in Columbus. What's his name? Johnson? Yeah, Johnston. Kent? Yeah, in Columbus. Yeah, exactly. So it's not Adam Fentley. Fentley has almost double the points, so it's it's not Fentley. It's Kent Johnson. So I think like number 5, I'm perfectly fine with it. Personally, it would not be my choice at number 5, but I think he fits into that group. After the Martin, the Caleb Desnoyers, the Misa, the Schaefer, I think he fits into that group of player.
When I was looking at James Hagens, and I didn't look up Artem Levshinov's Michigan State stats off the top of my head, but what I do remember was he was very similar to a points per game. I think he might have been 3 points off. So just like James Hagens was producing at a Artem Levshinov level, and Artem Levshinov went from Belarus to he took 3 major jumps.
Belarus
very
to
quickly.
USHL
USHL,
to NCAA.
To the AHL to the NHL. James Hagens
so.
was in the James Hagens should have performed a lot better, is what I'm trying to say. So if you want him at 6, and let me guess, like Anton Frandel might be 5 for you, or I would perfectly put Anton Frandel ahead of James Hagens just because of he has an absolute cannon of a shot, one of the best shots in the entire draft. So like,
but I don't have Frandel that high either. So
okay, cool. Okay,
my player at number 5 is Roger McQueen. So
okay,
it's not
okay.
So I'm fine. I'm fine with James Hagens. I think James Hagens has a higher potential than Frandel. I think Frandel is fine. Is a fine 2-way centerman. If he plays center in the NHL, he's more of a shooter than a distributor. So I wouldn't put Frandel that high. I think he might be picked that high, but me personally, I'm not there. So Hagens at number 5, I'm perfectly fine with that, and I'll go with McQueen at number 6.
So McQueen is one of my favorite players in the entire draft. I have him at 8, but I think that's way too low. If we're talking about somebody with the highest upside in the entire class, I think it is Roger McQueen if he hits. 6'5" centers, right-handed, do not come like they are far and few between. And if this guy hits, like his player comp for himself, when I talked to him, was Ryan Getzlaff, and I love that. Maybe not as physical, but like Roger McQueen has a nice sized frame, but he looks slim, so he can grow even more and put a lot of muscle in there. And
for sure, he's what, like
192
pounds or something like that.
Yeah,
barely reached 200. So of course, there's a lot of meat to be added to the bone. But so we put Hagens at 5 and McQueen at 6.
I would love McQueen at 6 because you see the Cam Robinson tweets. Like, if this guy hits, he probably has the highest upside in the entire class. And Roger McQueen had 4 goals in his first game. People were screaming maybe this guy could compete for the number 1 pick. And then he missed 4.5 months with a back injury that everyone is screaming Kaden Lindstrom. But every back injury should be valued differently. If Kaden Lindstrom didn't come out last year and missed all those games, and if Kaden Lindstrom came out and played all the games, Roger McQueen would be in the top 4, in my opinion. He's just that talented. It's just the injury risk. It really is. I could see a team in the top 5 trading down just to like Boston Bruins. I think is definitely like that's a Don Sweeney pick. I know that he's been there so many times to see Roger McQueen live. Like he's not getting past 7. So like if a team wants to come up maybe to 6 or 5, I could totally see a team either trading down for Roger McQueen or trading up because he is one of those players that could have a Kirby Dach or Beckett Seneca type rise. That's my rant on Roger McQueen, but I love him at 6.
Yeah, and when I ranked him at number 5, I took into consideration the injuries because obviously he played like 23 games this season. So it's not a lot to evaluate a player and like take into the top 5. But at the same time, I don't have clear information if it's recurring injuries, like recurring back injuries. Is it something else? Is it like they will have this information at the combine, or maybe they already have it probably, but I don't have that information. So I ranked him based on the talent and back. And that's it. The injuries, I basically did not take it into consideration. So it's really just the skill because I don't have the information to. So
yeah, totally get that.
I'm not going to drop him to number 10 because he's injured. I don't know if it's still the back. I don't know anything of that. So, but yeah, like you said, one of the highest potential player in the draft. I'm not sure he has Matthew Schaefer type of potential. I would still think that Matthew Schaefer is the highest potential overall player in the draft. But yeah, Roger McQueen, 6'5" body with like a lot of weight to be added to that. He skates well enough for his size. He protects the puck super well. In transition, he's a monster. He's just so good. And he's not just like you would expect at 6'5" that he's like banging and just hitting everything that moves. And he's not really that kind of player. He's a little bit more on the finish side, but he does have some power to his game too. So he's like a power playmaker. And like you said, Ryan Getzlaf was exactly that, a power playmaker. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would love to see that. Getzlaf 2.0, yeah.
And he has great hands. Great hands.
Yeah, fantastic. And he's also I said he has deceptiveness to his game. Like it's not like he's looking where he's passing or he's not faking a shot before he's passing. Like he's trying to open lanes. He's trying to make the defender drop on one knee before he push a pass to another player or something like that. He's not like just straight line, north south. That's not his game. He's really he has some east west. He has some deceptiveness. So it's rare to see in a 6'5" package. Really, really rare. So.
My dog agrees for sure.
Yeah, he loves McQueen.
Yeah, he's a McQueen guy. Roger Lightning McQueen. I love him. Yeah. So he's our 6, I believe.
Yeah.
And so it's Schaefer, Misa, Martone, Desnoyers, Hagens, and then McQueen. Yeah. I think that's a great top. That's a great top. And
basically, my top 6 players are in the top 6. So
yeah.
So basically, yeah.
So the only one I have is Frondell, but I've seen him on like Elite Prospects. He was 18 in their December or January rankings, and then now they have him at 12. But my ranking is based on the talent that he could be, but also like the transition game being better in North American ice, because in the SHL it is terrible on the bigger ice. It is one of the worst we've seen out of a draft eligible in a very long time. On some rankings it's like 8 or 14 out of 100, just based on his cards, which mean nothing, but it is something that he's just very bad in the transitional game. But at 7, go ahead.
I'm not sure I would say that he's bad. Like, which card did you see that says that he's really bad in transition? Like he's not great because he doesn't have fantastic foot speed, right? And he's not the more deceptive skater there is. He's a little bit heavy on his feet, but at least on Instat, when I watch his entries controlled, like what they call entries by stick handling and not by passing, he gains the zone, and when he gains the zone, he does something with the puck. Like a lot of players, and that's one thing that I really disliked about Hagens is that he can gain the zone because he's a fluid skater, a lot of crossovers to fool the defense. But once he gains the zone, he often goes to the outside and he often get locked along the board and then the play goes nowhere. Frondell, I didn't see that as much. So I think like Hagens project as a better transition player. At least everybody thinks so, including myself. But Frondell, I think has had more success right now in transition in the Allsvenskan. So
So the card was 14
Yeah.
from Lazi Alenin. He's the director of European scouting and contributor for Elite Prospects, and it was 8 transition, and I think that's the one I saw, because it was compared to Victor Eklund, who had a 99 transition, but that's just where I had seen that one, but that was really good, like, description of what you were saying. Like, I think Frondel's, when he gains the zone, he is dangerous everywhere. And in the bigger ice, that is kind of, it is less often that happens. But when we're talking about a guy like Frondel with his vision, his playmaking, like, and his just ability to, like, use his body and get into the dirty areas like Milton Gastrin did with Sweden, like, they're very similar, but like Frondel, to me, he plays with that fourth line mentality as somebody that has top 6 like skill. And I've only said that for a couple prospects that I've gotten to watch, and I just think that Frondel would be a clear floor as a top 6, and I think that you just, with that shooting upside, so put him on a power play, I think that he could rack up as many points as he possibly can. Like, if he gets, he just I have Frondel higher than probably consensus that's not teams, but I could totally see where he falls, because I'm not the Frondel guy, and I don't want to be known for the Frondel guy, because I could totally see where his upside case is lower than a lot of the players that go behind him, like Roger McQueen and Victor Eklund and Jake O'Brien. So I think that it's just floor ceiling ratio.
I think the consensus on Frondel is really high, though. Outside of Elite Prospect, who went way off board at like 18 and then came back a little bit on it at number 12, most people have him in the top 5 or top 6, something like that. So, I mean,
Draft Pros has him at 12 too. Our director of scouting does not like him, and I just feel that teams, like you said, consensus probably has him as top 5 too. So the variance is weird on his draft stock.
Yeah, I think one of the problems too is at the beginning of the season, but let's say the first half, not necessarily just the beginning, that he didn't win a lot of battles along the board. He engaged into battles, but he didn't have a good stick, didn't put his weight down. He was not necessarily heavy on the puck. He was injured a lot too, like last year, and so maybe it's because of that. But like, he's a heavy player. He should be heavy on the puck. It should be hard to take it away from him. When he goes into a board battle, he should be able to initiate contact, get players off balance, and get the puck out of there, which he did not do. But in the second half, it did get a lot better. So, like, I think last time, I don't remember exactly the numbers, but last time I checked, I think he was over 50% of battle won. So, it's always a good sign.
Yeah, that is really great.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Is there somebody else that you would have at 7?
Well, basically, me at number 7, I have Jake O'Brien, and then at 8, I have Anton Frondel. So whatever for me. If you're the Anton Frondel guy, then we can put Frondel at number 7, and then we can debate for number 8. I love Jake O'Brien, but like I said, they're 7 and 8. So
okay, so I'm a big Jake O'Brien guy too. Probably more of a big Jake O'Brien guy than I am an Anton Frondel guy.
Okay.
But as I said, I have Anton Frondel higher on my board than Jake O'Brien. But I see Jake O'Brien's upside case. So we'll start there. Like, I saw Brantford play Lardis, and he had 72 goals. And then I asked some people in Brantford, I was like, who's the best player in Brantford? And it's O'Brien. Everybody said O'Brien. So he was giving Lardis incredible opportunities to put up those numbers too. It just wasn't Nick Lardis. Nick Lardis has some deficiencies that he needs to work on, but Jake O'Brien has incredible vision, incredible playmaking, incredible hands. This guy could go very, very high. I have pegged him as the Beckett Seneca of the draft for a little while, because just like, he has that upside. And right-handed centers, like, they don't come very often. And somebody like Jake O'Brien, it's just, he has the talent, and he could succeed in a lot of ways. Like, 98 points in 66 OHL games. Like, he could have probably had a lot more too. Like, he's just so good. very unselfish player.
Yeah, and like personally, I think he's the best playmaker in the entire draft. Like he's not like a James Higgins, where James Higgins everything is done in motion. The Jake O'Brien's basically the opposite of that. Everything is done statically. Can you say that in English? Statically? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So like by the time he does a pass, he can change his mind like 10 times, right? He look for a pass, then he switch, fake a shot, then he looks to a pass, and then defender is like sliding on the ice because he doesn't know where to go, and then then O'Brien does something with the puck. He's extremely elusive, extremely deceptive in the way that he plays, but he has that ability to like thread a needle, feather a puck between sticks, between pads, between legs, between skates. He's like there's no puck he cannot get through cross ice. You know, he's just really talented. He has the vision, he has the skills, he has the deceptiveness to open the lanes that he needs to. He has some size. He's like 6'2". Maybe he's gonna be around 6'3" when it's all said and done. Around 200 pounds, maybe something like that. There's a long way to go before he gets to 200 pounds, but it's like 170 something if I'm not mistaken. But like the potential is through the roof, and I know like some people say his shot is not really that good, and I would agree that his shot is not powerful, but it's accurate. And because of his deceptiveness, he does score goals. Like the last time that I checked, at the time that I did the video on Jake O'Brien, I have not checked back about that since, but he had the highest shooting percentage of any player above 20 goals in the OHL. So, I mean, it's something. It's not a lot, but it's still the guy has to be precise. He has to be deceptive with his shot. If the guy is scoring goals and he has the highest shooting percentage of any player in the OHL as a like 20 something goal scorer. So yeah, I really, really like him. Like I said, personally, I prefer him over Frondel, but one or the other for a top 32 for real. It's fine because one is 7, one is 8. It's just, I've been a big believer in O'Brien since a long time. And now I just dropped him like yesterday because I put McQueen over him. And I've put back Higgins over him. In my last ranking, I had Higgins after O'Brien, but I was just scared a little bit. So I was like, yeah. Well, yeah. If you want like 7, Frondel, 8, O'Brien, or whatever you want.
Flip-flop, yeah. I really enjoyed everything you said about Jake O'Brien. When I watched him on a 2-on-1, every goalie thinks he's passing. And I think that's one of the things of why, you know, he scores so much, because everybody in the building kind of thinks he's passing because he is an elite passer. Like, every single time he passes, that puck is flat. And that is not something that, you know, is said often in scouting reports or anything like that. But he's like a point guard on the ice, but he's also tall. Like, he's going to put it, it's like a quarterback. It's the soft touch. He just knows. Some people have it, some people don't. So Nick Lardis was not a Jake O'Brien merchant, because Nick Lardis is actually a very good player, but Jake O'Brien and him just had that special chemistry. And I think that once Jake O'Brien plays with smarter, higher hockey IQ players as well, not that Nick Lardis isn't, I'm just talking about in general, I think that he's going to be very, very good in a line. Like, this is a guy that could potentially be a star in the league just because of the upside case he has. And he was kind of a late bloomer in this draft, kind of like a Lyndon Lakovich as well. He's only 172 pounds. Like you said, he is just starting to build out that frame, like all these guys are. They're 18, 19, 17, 18, 19. Like, obviously, they can build out their frame, but it's just something to be said.
O'Brien's on the younger side, I think, too. He's like a June birthday.
Is he 17?
Not 100% sure. But...
Yeah, he is. 2007 June. So yeah, maybe during the draft he won't be, but he's one of the younger players. Obviously, when we talk about Matthew Schaefer, he's like 6 or 7 or 8 months younger than Porter Martone, and I just think that that is something that you have to think about. So Jake O'Brien for sure at 8. I really like this. Like you said, like, go check out his video on Jake O'Brien. Like, at blue chip prospects, I'm just very excited to see Jake O'Brien play. I kind of want him to go to the Penguins just so that he stays with the jerseys, because in Brantford they wear those jerseys.
Black and yellow.
I like them in the color. But at 9, who do you think? Because I would put him at 8 for sure. But at 9, who do you think you have?
After them, like basically, still my top 8 is in the top 8, so I'm still happy. And
You're very good at this.
After that, I would either Victor Eklund or Carter Bear. Those are my next 2 players, and we're going into a different tier, in my opinion. Like we're going down a tier there. But I have Victor Eklund at number 9, and I have Carter Bear at number 10. Victor Eklund has more speed. He's more. He's not more gritty, because Carter Bear is more like physical and stuff. But I think he's more effective along the board, getting the pucks deep on the forecheck. He's a menace on the ice, and he's 5'11", 160 pounds. So, yeah. I would go with Victor Eklund. Where do you have him?
I have Victor Eklund at 7 here,
Yeah.
and he's my last player, obviously, in that range. I really like Victor Eklund's game. When I watched him and Anton Frandl, Victor Eklund always stood out to me. Mm-hmm. It was just like, I feel that Victor Eklund is more of my cup of tea in a prospect rather than Frandl, but I just like every single Swedish prospect I've talked to has said that Anton Frandl is the best player they've ever played against. Even Love, who's the goalie of Sweden, like they've said that his shot is incredible. So that's why he's higher up on my board, because I don't physically get to play against these players.
That's the thing. You can only see what you see on the ice. Because I would not have thought that Swedish player would say that. He's the toughest player they ever played against. It's like he doesn't look like that at all on the ice. But if they say it, they play against it. I can only look at his game, so I trust it.
Jacob Ishwazniak actually gave me like a 3-minute spiel on Anton Frandl, saying that his skating really improved from when they first played with each other, and that he was really impressed with his game, how it doesn't show up on the stat sheet sometimes, but he's just some player that wears you down during games. So I had to check back on Instat. I love Instat. Shout out to Instat. I know you're not watching, but Instat is freaking awesome. I love them. Like, it's the best source that I have, like, ever watching as many clips as I do, because I would be searching for Anton Frandl clips on YouTube, and it would just be like highlights. So now I have that. So I feel that when we're talking about Victor Eklund, like, he is a very fast, like, in my opinion, he thinks like his feet. He's somebody that can play make, he can dangle, he can just wear down a defense. I think that Victor Eklund is on the smaller side at 5'11", but if he measures in at 6'1" or 6'2", 6 foot or 6'1", like, he didn't look 5'11" on some of the tapes. And he hasn't measured in yet. So he could be a high riser too if he's above 5'11". I don't think many people have talked about that, but he could be. It's like Ivan Demidov.
Wasn't he measured by Central Scouting though? Like, Demidov was not measured by Central Scouting because they couldn't.
And in my spreadsheet, I don't have a check on measured, and it was this is where he's 161 and 5'11", and I think that's also what NHL Tankathon has too. But if he was measured at NHL Central Scouting, then this point is this is negated. But I would have to do some research after, because that is a really good point. I didn't know if he was measured in at Central Scouting.
I'll get it. Keep talking, though.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah. I'm just a big Victor Eklund guy. Every single time I put on the tape, I was like, wow, he's impressive. Definitely somebody that I can see putting up at least 25, 30 goals. I love your Carter Bear, Bear name recognition there, or admission into this, because I'm a big Carter Bear guy. I actually just got to interview him, and he said that his lacerated Achilles it's been a speedy recovery. He doesn't want to do too much on it or say too much, but he's very impressed with everything that has happened. I know that Achilles injuries, something like that, is so detrimental, but this guy was creeping into my top 10 before the injury, and because of how much of a leader he is, he's grounded. His player comp for himself is Brandon Hagel. Like, that's a playoff player. I think that he's
that's his own player comp.
Yep.
Is yeah,
Brandon Hagel.
That's cool. It's my player comp that I gave him in my video too.
Oh, that's awesome! Wow,
I'm on it. Cool. But
that's awesome.
Just to give an update, yes, Victor Eklund was measured by Central Scouting at 5'11", 161 pounds. And even Frondell, I thought he was just 6 foot, but he was measured at 6'1", 0.0.
Oh wow,
198.
Okay,
so.
That's not updated on my sheet either, so that's actually really interesting.
So
I'm just not doing enough research.
Talking about Victor Eklund and Carter Bear, they're different players, but they play the same type of like gritty game along the board in the corner game, behind the net type of game. Victor Eklund is definitely a better skater, and when you watch him in the Allsvenskan, he played a lot with Frondell, so it was easy to watch both at the same time. Obviously, he was mostly driving that line. Yes, sometimes Frondell did a little bit of distributing of the puck and get the entry, dish the puck out, and then place himself for a one-timer or a shot close to the net. But Victor Eklund was the guy applying the pressure on the forecheck. He was the guy precipitating move for the defenseman, like putting pressure on them so they dish the puck where they shouldn't dish the puck, right? So he can take it back and make a play from there. He drive the middle third of the ice constantly. Like, he's not staying on the outside. If he gets the puck along the board, if he wins a puck battle, he get that puck and he's either going to pass it to the middle or he's either going to move it to the middle himself. He's not going to take a shot from the outside. He's going to go back to the middle of the ice and he's going to take a shot as close as he can from the net. He's not gonna shoot from the circle or anything like that. He's very, very NHL style hockey player. Even though he doesn't have the weight for it at 161 pounds, he's gonna have to go to the gym, obviously. But his style of play really translates very well to the NHL, considering his speed, considering the way he plays. So
I would love to have Carter Bear round out the top 10, like Victor Eklund 9. Carter Bear 10, just because I'm a very big, Carter Bear guy. Yep. And obviously, like, you ranked Roger McQueen without the injury as well. If we were ranking Carter Bear without the injury, I think it would be closer to 8, or 9. I don't know if he would get above Jake O'Brien.
Not for me.
I think that Carter Bear, the injury aside, like, this guy's hard skill, like he mentioned multiple times, like, and his motor, it's very, very NHL ready, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like you said, he can, if he starts to weightlift and during his injury or something, like, start him on the bench press, do some bicep curls and stuff like that, maybe eat some Factor, those meals with the protein. I think that this is the time where he can start building muscle too. Very cool player. I mean, he talked a long time about Landon DuPont too, who he played with in Everett. Yeah. So very, very cool. But I think Carter Bear should be top 10. I would love it if he was. I love that you named it with Brandon Hagel.
I tried to not factor in the injury. He basically got his Achilles sliced, right? So it's a big injury, but it's an injury that usually will heal well. But as someone who destroyed his Achilles 2.5 years ago, and it's still not back, I was like, it's a big injury. Is it going to come back? Like, obviously, those people, they're elite athlete, right? Now, I'm not an elite athlete. Yes, I do some sport, and I was good when I was a kid, but now I'm a father, so it's not the same. Yeah. But yeah, me, it's been 2.5 years. My Achilles has not came back to what it was, and but him is going to be a clean slice, so it's different. Like, it's not like he ripped it. It's not like a basketball player where you can see the Achilles go back into the leg, and it's not the same thing. It was sliced, so it's clean, so he could come back from it pretty well. But there was this player in Buffalo. What's his name? The guy who had an injury in his Achilles in his draft year too, Peyton Krebs, who was seen as a probably top 10, top 12 player, and then he was drafted a little bit later than that. And like, is it because of that he never became the player people envision? I don't know. Nobody has that answer, but it's not looking well. You know, when you look at basically the same kind of injury, but one player did not recuperate really well and basically has a bottom 6 at best type of NHL career. You hope it goes better for Carter Bear, but he does have the drive to be better than that and, you know, push through. And, you know, he's a really good player, impressive player overall, just the injury.
Did you tear your Achilles?
Yeah, basically tears mean like ripped. That's what you mean? Yeah. yeah, that's what happened. So yeah, it's obviously on the medical side, it's more complicated to recuperate from a tear because it's not a clean cut. A clean cut is always easier to recuperate from. So anyway, I wish him the best. Yeah, he probably has more doctors around him trying to take care of it and a full team dedicated to his physiotherapy and all this stuff. Me, obviously, I'm in the public system, so it's different.
Well, that's great insight. Not that you tore your ACL or Achilles. That really does stink. But for this with Carter Bear, I didn't know that. Well, the tear, that is interesting. That since it was sliced, it would be less difficult to heal. I didn't even think about that. So that's really cool or interesting to think about. But Carter Bear solidified at 10, so that's our top 10. Yep. So Schaefer, Misa, Martone, Desnoyers, Hagens.
After McQueen, Frondell,
O'Brien, Eklund, Bear. Sorry, I'm not beating the I can't read allegations from Twitter, but from 11.
I'll let you go with number 11.
Yep, I have Radim Murka here. I'm a really big Radim Murka guy. I mean, he's very tall, so it's easy to be big on him. 6'6", over 109 or almost 200 pounds. His comp was Moritz Seider when I talked to him, and I loved that comp for him. I think that he would definitely be a player that could play a power play too. I think that he has better like offensive upside than a lot of people think. He wants to be the best Czech defenseman of all time. He has very high confidence in himself and high dreams, and he works very, very hard. I just think that Radim Murka is one of those right-handed defensemen that are just gonna increase his draft stock during the draft. We see it time and time again. So even though Jackson Smith, in my opinion, has more of an offensive upside, I am going to rate Radim Murka higher than Jackson Smith because he's a right-handed defenseman.
Yeah, I have the opposite, but they're separated by one player. So I basically have Jackson Smith at number 12 and then Radim Murka at number 14. So it's really not that far behind. I agree. The fact that he's a right shot defenseman, 6'6", right there, he's a specimen, right? He's the type of player that doesn't really exist that much. He skates pretty well for his size. He does have some offense. I'm not sure how it will translate to the NHL. Like you said, Jackson Smith has probably more of an offensive touch, but even him, I'm not exactly sure how it's going to translate to the NHL. But even at the U18s, I preferred Radim Murka over Jackson Smith. I think he was better, and he did that crazy goal from coast to coast.
Yeah, and that great move. That was awesome.
It was beautiful to see. Beautiful to see that he's capable of doing something like that. And he gained a lot of confidence when he came to North America. And the more he played like 30 minutes a night, and he was really good. I think he's like his reach and his mobility makes him like very, very good on the defensive side of the puck. On the offensive side and on the transition side is where I have a little bit more question, which is why I have him at number 14, but like 11 or 14, it's okay.
Well, who do you have at 11?
My next player would be Brady Martin.
Okay.
Which made a little bit of a jump from, I think, 15 to number 11 after the U18s. And after building a video where he's hitting everything, I was like, oh.
Yeah. He's 15 on my board, so I'm glad you said 15 to 11. But you saw the Cam Robinson tweets, or the people out there watching. Like, he could be one of the top hitters in the entire NHL day one. And the thing is, his frame is so like it needs so much work, but he's a tiny guy, like pounds wise. Like if you take his frame and add 30 more pounds, that he 178. Yeah, he's 178 pounds. Just imagine if it's a 200-pound Brady Martin coming up to hit you. I would not want that. Like, this man seems like pound for pound, he's just a ball of muscle. Like, and I'm not even sure that's the case. Just every single time I see him hit, the players are exhausted. That is a guy that looks like a football player, like a running back.
He hits hard.
Yeah.
Really hard.
It looks like he is going through something when he hits people. It's like, well, are you okay, Brady? Like, geez, no, but
like I don't know the difference in techniques. I heard somebody said like he has one of the best technique you've seen or something like that. I don't know the difference in technique and how you hit somebody and stuff like that in hockey. I played hockey, but at the time we were not hitting that much, right? So when I was a kid, at least you're not like going out there and hitting everything that moves. But
yeah,
like you don't need to look at the technique. You can just look at the clips. He hits so much and he hits so hard. And it's not just that, like everybody's talking about that, but Brady Martin is a player that's in your face, is a player that has speed, is a player that has some hands. He has good, not just some hands, he has good hands in traffic. He stays around the net. He has a lot of attributes to be a good NHLer. Does he have the hockey sense to be a sure shot top six player? That's the question that I have. I'm not 100% sure that he has the hockey sense to complement, like better players, like play driving playmakers, but at the worst, he's going to be like a third line player who can move up on the second line, create chaos around the crease, like hit everything that moves. Going to be a super useful player in the playoff. So he's not usually the type of player that I would have at number 11. But this year's draft is not my favorite draft to begin with. So I think it's okay to take that type of player and bring him up a little bit because you know what he's going to be bringing in the playoff. And being a fan of the team on the receiving hand of the Washington Capitals, I was like, yeah, it's useful. Yeah. So yeah, I really, really like him, and I like him even more after the U18s. With like, you have to take the U18s with a grain of salt. Tell me if I talk too much, huh? By the way,
no,
sometimes I can go on and on and on. But
this is awesome.
Okay, cool. So after the
dog
U18s,
was licking me for 40 seconds during this, but
okay, that's okay. So yeah, but I'll just say that even after the U18s, like he played so well. He was probably Canada's best player with maybe Braden Coots too. Was really good for Canada.
Yeah,
but Martin was spectacular, except for that hit that was a bit late. It was not high. It was not a dangerous hit, but it was late. I was like 3 seconds late. So yeah, but outside of that, he's a fantastic player. I love watching him. I go back, like you talk about Instat, I go back on Instat just to watch a couple hits all the time. And I was doing that, and that's when I decided to build a little video, like a minute video about just him hitting. And I was like, you look at any other player, and this is like a junior career type of highlight of hits, and it's like the last 15 games. So,
yeah.
I was like, okay.
That's a really good point.
He's serious. He's a farm boy, right? He's he lives on a farm, or he lived on a farm or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. So he has that farm strength, and when he goes into his prime, when he has that big boy strength as an adult, he's gonna be dangerous, man. He's gonna be very dangerous.
That's a really good point that he grew up on a farm, because those guys are built different. Yeah. And you can see it in the style of play that he plays, and the fact that he has skill too. And he's a right-handed center, right-handed center over 6 feet. Like, I know that this class has its deficiencies, and we could see Brady Martin becoming like a winger in the next level. But I just think that versatility that he has, while also being able to like bring the punch. Like, I think it would be a really interesting video if like somebody that was a former hitter, like a hit specialist, came on to analyze Brady Martin's hit style, because that is very interesting. Like, it might be his technique too, because he's not 240 pounds. Like, this guy is 170, and he's on 07 birthday, which we've talked about in the past. Like in the past 15 minutes, like '07 birthdays in this class are younger than the '06. So like it's just like interesting that he's already that developed with his hitting style. Like if he grows more, I mean, if he gains more muscle, this guy's going to like be a demon against players like Cole Caulfield, Alex DeBrincat, like even Connor Bedard. You are not going to want this guy on the ice when you have a superstar out there.
And you know, when you look at him, the way he hits, like even if you compare with other players that are considered like the most violent player of the draft, players like Daniil Prokhorov in the MHL and stuff like that. Like the guy is 6'6", right? Or 6'5" or something like that. He's a hard hitter, but if you look at both, Martin is a way harder hitter than Prokhorov is, and he's 5 inches less. So it's impressive, and the way. It's also the fact that, there's the easy hits when, let's say, you dump the puck behind the defender, then you skate hard, you go hit him in the corner, take the puck away from him, or, get the puck along the board, and then you go straight to him and you hit him there. Those hits, like, most people are capable of doing those hits in the NHL, right? Not everybody does it, but most people are capable of. The hardest hits are the one when you're trailing a player, and you come from behind, and you have to skate up to his side and then smooch him into the board. Well, he does that so effectively. He catches up in speed, he gets to his side, and then he can just smooch him into the board, and the guy flies and falls, and he gets the puck back. And it's just impressive. It's not the easy hits that he can do very hard. He can do the hard hits really, really well too, and I don't know, he's impressive.
No, just for the last thing about Brady Martin too, just like it looks like he's in slow motion when he tries to reposition himself for a hit. It's like he's doing it in slow motion. Like he's going at the same pace, but his brain is thinking like, how can I position my body to hurt this guy? Not like to injure him, just to like
make him pay for having the puck.
Yeah, that's a really great point. I mean, especially during the playoffs, for the NHL playoffs, when like Corey Pronger dropped that list of best players in the playoffs, I think Brady Martin might be one of the top. Like Desnoyers, Brady Martin, like Malcolm Spence. For me, like these guys are playoff players, just the way that they play. Like Tom Wilson-esque for Brady Martin with skill. Like very good. I would say 11 here, and then I would say Radim Merca 12 because we went back, if you're cool with that.
So Brady Martin 11, Marca number 12. Did you say somebody else?
Yes. I talked about Jackson Smith, but he's not higher than Merca for me too. And I would actually have Lyndon Lakovic at 13 if we were. I would more so have Lyndon Lakovic over Jackson Smith.
Yeah, I dropped Lakovic a little bit in my board. I used to have him around 10, if I'm not mistaken. Now I have him at, just wait a second, I have to find him. Number 15. So he's not that far off. It's just, I love the player that he is. And every year, I've said that before, but every year there's a player that I really like in the obviously like the CHL prospect game. Now this year is the USA versus Canada prospect game, right? But every year there's one. Last year was Seneca. The year before it was I don't remember his name, so I'm not gonna. But it's one of the player. I think he was drafted by Florida, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, but this year it was Lyndon Lakovic. Like the size, the speed, the handling, the shot. He looked really, really good. And then after that, I jumped into, watching games and watching clips and I think he's just really good. He has a lot to bring, but it's just the fact that I think he might be a little bit of a frustrating player because he doesn't really use his size, neither in protection, neither to get the middle of the ice. Like there's work to do with Lakovic, but the skill level, the handling, the shot, doesn't have like the best vision. He's not the greatest passer, but he has his strength and he plays within them. We would just like that he add a little bit of physical style to his game, maybe a little bit, taking advantage of his 6'4" frame. But I'm very open to Lakovic before Jackson Smith because it's brand new that is at number 15 and not at number 10. So I have no issue with that.
He went to Brady Martin's spot before the tournament.
So you want to take Lakovic number 13?
If you have somebody else that's higher on your board that's dropping, I
It's
would
Jackson.
definitely love
No,
to hear it.
my next player is Jackson Smith, but every time I watch him, he goes down.
Well, for me, just really quick on Jackson Smith, because he probably will be the 14th player on this list. I think Jackson Smith is kind of like a Kevin Korchinski defensively, with a little higher upside there, but somebody that, if like, he's 6'3", and a lot of people don't talk about his size that often, but he also doesn't use his size as much. He's one of the younger players in this class too. '07 May birthday. And his birthday just passed 3 days ago, so happy birthday to Jackson Smith if you're watching. But he's a player that is kind of frustrating to me to grade, because you've seen a lot of players that have put up incredible point totals defensively, as in like Carter Yakimchuk, or last year, which he was drafted 7th to Ottawa, which thought it was a little too high. And in my opinion, like, I think Jackson Smith is one of those players that defensively he needs to work on a lot of things, but offensively you could see his skill. It's very similar, like puck handling. It's very similar to me to Kevin Korchinski, where he went to the AHL and the bigger bodies just destroyed him. So if Jackson Smith can continue to work on building out his frame, like I've said with everybody, just defensively it's so much harder. Maybe a couple more years in the dub, or going to the AHL. Or I guess he can't go to the AHL, but I don't know. I just feel like Jackson Smith is definitely top 15 for me. I have him 12, but it's just
exactly.
hard defensively.
Too, so.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess we could put him 13 and then Lakovic 14, because I have Lakovic 13th.
Okay.
So, my thing for Lyndon Lakovic is, like you said, he doesn't use his body a lot. He's soft skill. Somebody that he's said that he's working on his physical game. Like, he's putting in the work and time, because he knows that he needs to be more physical. He was a late bloomer with his growth spurt, so he didn't actually know how to play on his body, but now he's trying to figure it out. He said
Like
that
Seneca
in the interview.
last season.
Yeah, exactly. Seneca grew like 4 or 5 inches very, very quickly.
Yeah. He had like a small body type of skills in a 6'3" frame.
Yep.
Kind of same thing for Lakovic here. Seneca is better, but I mean it's the same type of thing.
Yeah, Lyndon Lakovic is kind of like a under 6 foot forward in a 6'4" body, and I just don't think that's great to have if he can figure out how to use his body.
It's just he's a bit inconsistent in the way that he plays. Even his speed, he can absolutely fly in transition, in huge crossovers, and then he can go from blue line to blue line in an instant. But he doesn't always do it. Like sometimes he, I don't know, try to slows the game down, and I don't think he necessarily has the puck game to slow the game down and be like a distributor from the flank or something like that. I think he's more like, the way he's going to be successful at the NHL level, in my opinion, obviously I'm not a professional or anything like that, is going to use his speed, use his body to lean on defenders, get to the middle of the ice, and use his shot to, because he can rip it, right? He can rip it from close too. He can really elevate the puck from super close of the net. And so, like, he has a lot of attributes. It's just he needs to use them consistently, and he needs to use them in a way that's going to translate to the NHL level.
I completely agree.
Good.
I completely agree. Lyndon Lakovic has a lot of potential.
Yep.
He just needs to work on a lot of stuff.
He's he's all over the place in the rankings too, huh? That, like, I think Elite Prospect likes him a lot, if I'm not mistaken. It's like almost top 10 or something like that. But a lot of people have him in the 20s. I'm sure there's even people who don't even have him in the first round. So he's really all over the place. But anyway,
I had him at 10 about like 6 weeks ago, and now he's settled in at 13 for me.
Yeah.
But I don't think that he's going to leave my top 15 just because of the upside. I think that he's, like, upside-wise, like a light version of Jake O'Brien.
Mm-hmm.
But if this guy hits, like, in this class where there's a lot of tier drop-offs, it's going to be one of the top players in the class. But, again, lower floor than usual. but I'm a big fan of Lyndon Lakovic. But for 15, to round out our top 15,
Yep.
who do you have?
My next player would be Justin Carbonneau. Another player that I started the year with him in my top 10. I think I had him like at 7 or something like that. And it's not, he went down a little bit in my ranking, but it's not necessarily because of him. It's more because other players passed on him, because he's really, really good. He's a good skater. I'm not willing to say he's a dynamic skater, but he's strong on his skate. He's strong on the puck. He can get into space really quick. He can find. He's also always in motion. He's not a static type of player. So he uses skating. He has a decent body, 6'1", 190. I don't know. I don't remember. Yeah, it's 190. 191. Yeah. So like he's thick. He skates well. He has size. He has a fantastic shot. He has a little bit of a tunnel vision, where he sees the net and that's it. But I think he's also an underrated playmaker, but only when he wants. That's the part that he needs to work a little bit more, is the fact that he does have the skills to thread the needle. He does have, not at a Jake O'Brien level, but he does have the skill to do nice passes in especially in tight areas, like give and goes, and use his speed and his shot on the reception of the give and go. So he has a lot of skills. It's just bringing his skill to play a little bit more on the NHL style of hockey is the way I would see it. But the skill, he could absolutely be a top 10 player 5 years from now, in my opinion, because of the skill level, the size, and the skating.
I have Carbonneau 16, so 15 is perfect. I have Malcolm Spence 15, but I actually I flipped those two after Malcolm Spence committed to Michigan, because I went back and looked at my just a bunch of clips, and I think Malcolm Spence with Michigan is going to be very, very, very good, in my opinion. They're a great program that develops very, very well, especially for Malcolm Spence's kind of play style. But I think I'm going back and forth, and I think after you talked about Justin Carbonneau and his playmaking, as well as like his shot is one of the top shots in the entire class, if not like. It's definitely top 3 for me.
It's close, yeah. Like Frondel is a good level.
Frondel's probably the best.
A good level above Carbonneau, especially the one-timer. The one-timer is as heavy as it gets. But Carbonneau is close on the wrister and snapshot for sure, especially in motion.
And so if like Frondel's 1, Carbonneau is 3, I don't know who 2 is. Like it's like maybe. Carbonneau's shot is that good. Who did you say?
Schmidt, maybe Cameron Schmidt.
Oh yeah, Cam Schmidt. Yeah, 5. I have Cam Schmidt 3 spots lower. I'm pretty high on Cameron Schmidt. I wish he was 6 foot. Okay.
Yeah, he definitely he has top, like not top of the first round, but he has like first half of the first round type of talent.
Yep.
But I don't think it's good enough. Like if you take players like Cole Caulfield or DeBrincat, they were not just like first half of the first round type of talent. They were literally like top 7, top 5 type of talent in their draft year, and they dropped because of the size factor. But like Caulfield was a record-breaking type of player at the U18s in the US NTDP. Yes, he was fed by Jack Hughes, but he was a very different level of player than Cameron Schmidt. At least in my opinion. I mean, maybe in 5 years from now, Cameron Schmidt is a better player than Cole Caulfield, but I would not bet on that.
I don't see that happening, yeah. And DeBrincat was like 46th to the Blackhawks or somewhere in that range.
Yeah, something like that.
He felt extremely big. So I can definitely see. I know Cam Schmidt was number 8 on Craig Button's board, and the variance is so big. But in this class, like for me, he's like around, I think he is 19th for me on my board, but that's also because like I think he has top 10 skill, but I think that he should be able to do more with the traits that he has and the attributes. So with Carbonneau, like a really good playmaker, he's very hard on his teammates. Like if you watch, and I've heard this from several people, like he has like a Kobe Bryant type, Michael Jordan type of mindset.
Oh yeah, where I don't know.
He's thinking like 5 steps ahead, and sometimes the players on his team aren't. So he gets very upset when things don't go well. And I think it's not on his players. It's just like if you're not, he puts himself to a very high standard, and I think I like that as somebody that evaluates prospects. Like, you have to put yourself at a very high standard. And I think some people might think that that's like more of a diva thing, and that is just not why I brought this up. I do not believe that he's a diva in any single way. Like, I think that he's just somebody that puts his teammates and himself and his team to a very high standard because he thinks the game's so much different. And when he gets those playmakers and his line mates that also think the game at a very high level, he could have a Forrest Gump type of running lane. Like, that man could just shoot out of a cannon and start being
there's
very,
not a lot of player on his team that can follow him too. Outside of Xavier Villeneuve, like, who else can really follow him at his speed and as a player? There's nobody. I mean, Matteo Nabar is good, but he's not Carbonneau's level. So so obviously sometimes it can be frustrating for him. So.
Yeah, and he put up the most points in this class for the Q. Desnoyers missed like 6 more games than him, but Carbonneau still had 89 points. Desnoyers, I think, had 84. So that's off the top of my head. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But Desnoyers is more. What?
I said it's something like that. So
yeah. So
enough.
yeah, like I'm a big Carbonneau guy. So I think even having him at 16 is too low. I kind of want to push him up to my top 15, but I do like Malcolm Spence. So I would love it if we put Carbonneau 15. As you said, like, yeah, that was very good.
But outside of Carbonneau, you said Spence at 16 I disagree.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people have Spence, like, some people have him at like 24, 25. I can't get on board
I have him
that
exactly there,
low.
24, yeah.
Okay. I can't get on board that low, but I would love it if the Blackhawks could get into that range if Toronto loses today. Sorry, Toronto fans, really am sorry, but I really want that pick higher for me as a Blackhawks fan. I want Malcolm Spence. I've talked to his teammate and him, Martin Misiak, and Matthew Schaefer. Everybody has such high reviews of Malcolm Spence. He's the biggest vibe guy there. That man is awesome. But for 16, who is your top 16? And then I will, because 24 is too low for Spence here.
Yeah, I can understand. It's just after 15, after we select Justin Carbonneau, like, it's another drop of a tier for me. And after that, there's a lot of players. There's like all those 5'10" players like Cole Reshny and all those players. There's them. There's Jack Nesbitt that I like a lot. I actually have Jack Nesbitt at number 16. He had disappointing U18s, which I did not let it affect too much my ranking. But I think the mix of power and skills in his game, like his ice time grew as the year went on. I really like Jack Nesbitt. At 16, I'd have either like Jack Nesbitt, Cole Reshny, Cameron Reed, or Braden Coots. Those are basically my pick that I would have there.
Yep. Okay, so for Braden Coots, because he is my 17th ranked player, really like Captain Coots for Hockey Canada. I'm sure he probably jumped a few selections or spots during his run with Gold Medal Canada, because that Sweden team was like the Avengers, very good Sweden team. So the fact that Canada kind of dismantled them in that gold medal game, I just think that Braden Coots is a very good two-way center. He said that his player comp is Braden Point. Like, that's if you can get a Braden Point out of Braden Coots, which is the same first name, like, I would love that. Like, absolutely.
I don't think you do.
I don't think you do.
I don't want to like disrespect or anything, but that's a hell of a comp for Braden Coots, and I do agree that he's really good. He's a really good two-way player. He has skills. He has good hands. He's fast, decent shot, good playmaking. Like, he has a lot of element in his game, but I don't think any of it is high enough to project him as even as a sure top 6. And I've been saying that since the beginning of the season. I was talking with another guy in French who has a podcast about hockey, Simon from Briser la Glace. I don't know if you know who that is, but I was talking with him about him, and he loves.
Oh yeah, I know who that is.
Yeah, okay. So he loves Braden Coots. He was telling me I underrate him, and I agree and disagree at the same time. I think he does have skills. He does have speed. He does have he has a lot, but none of it really stands out. At least not on a consistent basis. And it's been the same thing throughout the year. Like I had him higher in my last ranking. I think I had him like 13 or something like that, and now I have him at number 19. And again, it's not because of him. It's because there's just player who jumped in front of him because I'm starting to like them more. Like I used to have Kolresny behind him. Now I have Kolresny before him. So it's just, but yeah. I do agree that he's a player in that range for sure.
No player was hotter than Kolresny, like 8 weeks out of right now. I mean, he has just been on an incredible point producing level,
and in the playoff, he had like 20 something points. It's he was toe to toe with Gavin
McKenna, yeah.
So I was like, wow.
Yeah,
he was.
No one helped his draft stock more.
No, I don't think so. I don't think he was that great at the U18s either. But his end of season was very, very good, and like I said earlier, the points in the playoff, they hold more weight for me than whatever you do in the season. And he was dynamite in the playoffs. So he was carrying that team, and he did really well. So, yeah.
So who do you want 16? Because this is very tough. I know that there's so many players, and there is a drop-off because it's just like a pool of players here after Carbonneau.
Like I said, personally, I have Jack Nesbitt there, but I'm comfortable with Cameron Reed, Kolresny, Braden Coots, Cation Aitchison. They're all players that I think belong in that range. Yeah, even Spence.
Do you have Logan Hensler or
Logan Hensler? He's at number 22.
Oh, okay.
So he's lower than that.
So I would put Braden Coots just because that's my highest, and then he's 19 on your board, so I don't feel like that's that far down.
Mm-hmm.
And then 17, I could totally see Kolresny. Just because I am higher on him after as well.
And then you follow that up with Malcolm Spence, I guess.
Well, the thing about Malcolm Spence is I have him higher, you have him lower, so I feel like we should push him down a little bit, maybe even to 18. But
yeah, but that's where we would be because they would have Coots at 16, Reshney at 17, and then you would have Malcolm Spence. Because personally, like the gap between taking Jack Nesbitt or taking Malcolm Spence or taking Cation Aitchison, which they're all like for me ranked 16 to 24, it's very, very small. It's basically you take the player you prefer and that's it. It's just me. I put them in the order that I like them, but it could change at any time. It's not like I'm the biggest fan of Jack Nesbitt. It's just I like his game. I think there's a good projection for him. But Malcolm Spence is a very solid player. He's older for sure, but he had good production. He's as intense as it gets. He's he has the making of a leader. He has the making of a player Detroit will take. Yeah, he's a
Stevie Y pick.
Yeah, so
same with Brady Martin.
Yeah.
I could totally see them taking him. I have Bill Zonin over Nesbitt, and I have Nesbitt, I think 26 on my board.
Mm-hmm.
So I just couldn't really. Nesbitt is awesome to watch, but I just couldn't get into putting him in the top 25. And I'm probably wrong here because I have Schmidt, higher than consensus at 19, or not higher than you.
We won't know for a while.
Yeah.
It's okay.
If he's there at 34 for the Blackhawks, I would scream and be like, please take him, even though we only have small forwards, so it doesn't even make sense. But just based on value, I would want him.
Yeah.
But for 19 now, who do you think would go 19?
If you're lower on Jack Nesbitt, how high are you about Cation Aitchison and Cameron Reed?
So I have Cameron Reed at 21, and I have Cation Aitchison at 23. Because I have Fiddler at 27.
Yeah, Fiddler at 27.
Yeah. I just think that there's so many good players.
But I have him at 23. It's not a big gap. It's
yeah.
So, but honestly, like if you like Spence a lot, we could put Spence at number 18, and then we follow this up with one of the D, either Cameron Reed or Cation Aitchison. I mean, completely different player, right? but
yeah,
like both there, I think will will their way into a top 4 in the NHL eventually. Cation Aitchison probably more of a on the defensive side. Like how much of his offense will translate to the NHL, I'm not sure, but I mean he's so intense, so physical. He skates well. He's big. He defends well. Not every night, but he does defend well most of the night. Just like the type of player that you want on your team. He makes me think a little bit of Caden Gooley. Like in his draft year, Gooley was a monster physically. In the playoff, he was hitting to hurt people, not just to take the puck away. And I think that Cation Aitchison is a little bit in the same way in the way he plays hockey. But he takes himself out of the game sometimes to lay big hits, which is not ideal. But it's a fine line to walk. Like in Montreal, we have a player like that, like Arbor Jacki, who's always walking that line of physicality, aggressivity, fighting, and taking penalties or getting himself out of the game. So it's a bit the same thing with Cation Aitchison, but I do like him a lot, and I think his physicality will be really important for a team down the road.
I would put Aitchison like 19 because Aitchison had more points than Reed, even though he plays more of a defensive and physical game, which, I mean, like you said, how much is that going to translate? But he had, what do you have, 26 goals? Yeah, he had 26 goals
crazy.
for Barrie this year.
Like, crazy.
The fact that he's going 18 here is kind of surprising, too. I mean, Logan Hensler hasn't gone, too, and I'm high on him because I think he had the second best point totals of NCAA defensemen under 19, and I know there's not a lot of them, but he was the youngest player on his team and translated well. I mean, he was a top 10 pick coming in, but he took the jump to NCAA, I think, a year early. But Aitchison, I think 19, like he's going to be a player that fans love, like immediately, and if his offense translates.
18 was
18 was Spence, but 19.
Spence? Okay,
yeah.
cool.
19 Aitchison, sorry. I don't know if I said 18, but yeah, 19 Aitchison I would love. And then 20 Reed. I think 20 Reed would be pretty good.
Yeah, I think so. But I have Aitchison and Reed back to back, so it's not really a problem for me. Like you said, Aitchison has more production this season in the OHL than Cameron Reed. But I think Cameron Reed has more of a translatable type of offense. Like we're probably not gonna see Aitchison run a power play, but there's a decent chance that at least Cameron Reed can run a second power play, maybe a first depending on the team, but more probable a second power play. I don't think he's that dynamic, but he's a good skater. He's very competitive. He defends really well for a guy that's just 6 foot. Like he's 5'11" or 6 foot, something like that. I'm not sure exactly how high he is, but very good skater. Close the gap really. 6 foot, yeah. And anyway, he can use his skating to close the gaps and play lock players along the board. And I really like him, and he has more offense, in my opinion, than Cation Aitchison. But Aitchison does have the physicality, which I really love. So I think it makes a lot of sense. 19 for Aitchison and 20 for Cameron Reed.
Yep. Yes. And so 21, a player that I haven't talked about yet either. Well, I talked about him a little bit in the beginning, but is Milton Gastrin. I really like Milton Gastrin's game. I think players that we haven't talked about yet, like Colin Potter, Milton Gastrin, as well as Vaslav Nestrasil, are coming up in my board. So any one of those players, if you haven't too. Benjamin Kindell, very good player.
Yeah, Kindell is not too far. I have a lot of players that are stuck at my 33rd position. Player that I consider have first round type of talent, could jump into the first round, but I did not rank because I just preferred the projection of other players. And like there's players like Ivan Ryabkin, there's Bill Zonon, like a lot of players, they make the first round, but does have the first round type of talent. Vaclav Nestrasil is the same thing. I had him, I think, 28 or 30, something like that, a couple months ago. I just kicked him out of the first round yesterday. so yeah, but if you like at 21, we could go with Logan Hensler because I have Hensler at number 22, and I also have Kindle at number 21. So I think
So 21 Hensler, 22 Kindle, because Cameron Schmidt, sorry, he's gonna fall from this if he's not even in your top.
And I totally agree. Him?
I have Schmidt 19, but I have Hensler 18. Yes.
Yeah. Well, Hensler makes sense, and I mean even Cameron Schmidt, it makes sense.
Yeah, Hensler
makes
sense.
Have him in the top 20. I mean, it's natural. The guy is producing. He's super dynamic with his skating. I don't think there's one player in this draft that can fool player as much as he can in transition. It's crazy to see sometimes the way he uses his crossover and little stutter steps to make player almost fall or lose balance while he's transitioning the puck and getting into the zone. I think he's amazing. It's really just a question of, I don't think his offense is dynamic enough to be a first round type of player. Like, I might be very wrong, but it's like all season he went down my list, and now he's pushed up, but he's at the 33rd position. my back of 10 player at the 33rd position. So, yeah.
I think with Logan Hensler, his offensive upside, we were waiting all year to see. And some plays when he was feeling it and he was feeling like he was hot, like he had that confidence, you saw him skate through multiple defenders. And then there was one play where he skated through multiple defenders and wrapped around, did a really great wraparound assist to his forward right in the front of the net. And I thought that showed a lot of his hockey IQ, his playmaking, his speed when he gets going. His comp for himself, he said, was Jake Sanderson, and our right-handed Jake Sanderson, which I really like. Just like,
okay,
it's like a light version of Jake Sanderson, but he was still projected to go in the top 12. When I talked to him, he had a very steep drop in my opinion off my rankings. Even 18 for me is kind of too low. I would not, coming into the year, I did not think, obviously, he was going to be lower than Braden Coots or Carbonneau or Malcolm Spence or Brady Martin, but it ended up happening. He was solidified in my top 10, and then it just continued to drop. I think him going to the NCAA did hurt him but a year early, but maybe next year he has an incredible year because he's comfortable. Like he said, he was the youngest player on his team. He's very down to earth, though. I think Wisconsin is going to help him for sure next year, but you never know. So, 21. So then we're at 22. Who would be your 22nd overall player?
Well, right now I have Jack Nesbitt that's falling down a little bit, but you said you had him in the 20s, late 20s, right?
Yeah, just 26.
26, okay. So at 22, it makes sense. But if you have Benjamin Kindle higher than Nesbitt, then we could have Benjamin Kindle, because I have Kindle at number 21. So it makes sense to have him there.
Kindle for sure. I think Kindle would be a great pick.
I dove
really
deep into I dove deep into the Reshny, Potter, and Kindle comparison this week. I was in the process of building a video about that, but then I kind of let down the project because it's just too complicated to compare players and try to make that in an interesting way. And so I was like, you know what? But but I feel like overall, Reshny is my favorite player. I think he's the better playmaker of all those players, and he had the best end of the season. And I think that Kindle is the in-between Reshny and Colin Potter. Colin Potter has definitely more speed than both of them, but Kindle has more speed than Reshny. Kindle has a better shot than Reshny, and Potter has an even better shot than Kindle. Than Kindle. So it's the in between. You want the playmaker, you go Reshny. You want the fast shooter, you go with Potter. You want the guy who can do a little bit of everything, then you go with Kindle. Basically.
Yeah, that is a great video because it's the 5'10" trio right there. Yeah. They all do the same, like they all do something that's great for their strengths. Like Potter, that we haven't talked about yet, who I'm higher on than Kindle, but I think Kindle does everything overall better. Like Potter is gonna go, like Potter is one of those players that his skating is exceptional. Might be one of the best skaters in the class. So what he can do on his skates and his edge work and his top speed, which you don't really see in the NHL unless you're trying to go on a breakaway or something. I just feel like he had a great season in the NCAA. So when you have 22 points in 35 games in the NCAA level playing against the like younger men, I think that it shows that Potter's game can translate to some level. Can like obviously it's a little unsure on Nesbitt and Kindle, and that's kind of why I'm a little lower on them. But it's only because Potter has done it in the NCAA level.
Okay, you're saying you're higher on Potter than you are on Kindle and Nesbitt. Is that what?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But it's so slight. It's so slight. It's like I had Potter. I had like Resny, Potter, Aitchison, Kindle, Nesbitt. So okay. Yeah, actually Zonin in between the two. But it's like so low because like we talked about the tier drop off. Every single player is after 15 or 16 is in like a pool of players until like 33 and even 33 to 40. So like from 16 to 40, you could get a similar player in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. It's the way I see it too. There's like a giant tier. Like yes, they're not exactly all on the same level. That's why you rank them, but there is a tier that doesn't have too much of a gap between number like 17 to almost number 40. Like I said, I have a big pool of player at number 10, at number 33, because all players who could be in the first round, but they just didn't make it. But I do agree that
totally get that.
That Potter is like the more dynamic of all those 5'10" player. When you watch him, he's the most impressive player. Like the speed, you can see his jersey flop in the wind when he's skating, when he's going blue line to blue line in transition. He's really nice to see. It's beautiful to see. My problem with Potter is that a lot of shots are outside shots. There's not like he tries to cut to the inside a lot. I saw him a lot trying to like at least go back on his way and cut to the inside, or try to do a little move to cut to the inside. But it doesn't work so often. And when he's out of ideas, he's not the greatest playmaker, greatest passer out there, or the greatest thinker of the game out there. So he's just gonna take an outside shot. And there's a few of them that went in the NCAA. Those shots will most likely not go in the NHL. So if Potter is a skater with a good shot, but most of his shot come from the outside and most of his shot wouldn't go in the NHL, it's like I think he has to change a lot about his game to actually translate to the NHL. Like he has the skills for it, because obviously the hands, the handling, the skating, the shot, they all project NHL, but all together, I'm not sure if it's good enough to score at the NHL level. And if he doesn't score at the NHL level, then what does he do?
Yeah. Yeah, that's perfectly said. I completely agree. Definitely, you can see the dynamic player or the plays that he makes on tape, but it's the translatability. Is it going to be able to translate? And I think at 5'10", if you can't or are not comfortable producing in the middle of the ice or trying to only stay by the boards, like in my opinion, that's just he needs to revamp his game. So if that's your opinion and why he's lower, I totally see that, because that is honestly the fear. So
I have number 30 because of that, and it's not because of a lack of trying, because he did try it, especially in the first half of the season.
He just can't do it.
But yeah, he can't do it, and I think it kind of got to him where he just like, okay, you know what, I'll shoot from the outside. so yeah, but at the U18, he was probably the most impressive player out there every time he was stepping on the ice. And it's one of the reasons also why Cameron Schmidt is not in the first round, is that when you compared both, like Schmidt is still 3 inches smaller than Potter, and Potter was It was everywhere on the ice. He was really good. He was using his speed, using his shot. He was using his crossover to fool players, to fool defenders at the blue line. Cameron Schmidt didn't do much. So,
yeah.
but
that's a really good point. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Since Cameron Schmidt is not 5'10", it's harder. Like in the skill that he brought, it diminished quickly, especially when you're playing against better players.
Yeah.
I think Colin Potter showed that his game translates when he's playing against better players, like more so than a Cam Schmidt.
Mm-hmm.
So
and even in the 5'7" type of player like Cameron Schmidt, like there's an argument for Adam Benak to be even better than Cameron Schmidt. Like
I'm a big Adam Benak guy.
So
I love him. Oh my gosh, yeah. I don't know about before the season. I actually probably had Benak higher than Schmidt. I don't remember what tournament it was, but for Czech, he just absolutely exploded. I don't know how many points he had, but Adam Benak played awesome. He did not have the season he wanted for sure. Same with like an Ivan Ryabkin, but you can see the potential. And when he is given a role, it is so like this guy performs. He's so skilled. So that's a really good one. Yeah. So 23, you want to go Kindle?
Who do we put on number 22? I didn't follow. It was Kindle,
Nesbitt,
right?
Nesbitt.
Okay.
Nesbitt 22, and then 23 Kindle.
Okay. All right, cool. 23.
And then 24, do you want to do Potter, or is there somebody else?
But Potter, I have him a bit lower.
Oh, 30.
Like I had him 30, so it's a bit high for him, but I would go with a... Like, my next 3 players, basically, like I said, it's all the same giant tier. It's first Blake Fiddler, obviously, big right shot defenseman, 6'4", has some game on both sides of the puck, so it's gonna go probably in that range. I have William Moore, which I like more and more throughout the season, and I also have Henry Brustevics, who's a little bit more of a risky pick. But especially since his ice time went down in the playoffs, so it's never a good sign when like the best coach
is not trusted on.
But for now he's still there. Is he going to be there at the end? I don't know. But yeah, I would say something like Blake Fiddler, William Moore, Henry Brustevics, even Joshua Ravensbergen, all players that fit in there. I think.
I was actually going to talk about Will Moore and Cole McKinney very, very soon. Same with like Shane Vinsagi, but Joshua Ravensbergen is higher on my list too. Then I think Blake Fiddler is probably the highest on my list. So 24 would be Blake Fiddler because I do agree that he's going to go in that range. You can't. I'm a big fan of Blake Fiddler's game. I am surprised. Would be surprised if he actually ended at 24. I know I have him at 27 on my board, but it's not because of him. It's
he's
just
not
going to
get there, or he's going to be picked later.
I think he's going to be picked way before 27 or 24. Maybe 24 is the range, but just because right-handed defensemen that are bigger, they always go higher. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, but last year there was plenty of them, and they didn't go high. Like there was. Adam Kleber, there was the super physical one from the WHL. I'm terrible with name and memory, man. but there was not Brustevics, but there was the other guy from South Africa, like he's South African and Canadian, picked by Pittsburgh. Jesus, give me 2 seconds. I will open it and I will find it on Elite Prospect because. If not, I'm gonna keep thinking only about that. I'll go draft center. Go to draft 2020. I'll draft. And then draft 2024. We're gonna get there. All right. So last year, the right shot defenseman I was talking about, the physical one was Charlie Illick, like super good skater and Illick. Physical. There was Badinka. Also took in the second round. There was the one from the US NTDP. What was his name? E.G. Emery was taken number 30. Right shot, big shot defenseman. Not big shot, I mean right shot, big defenseman because not a big
defensive D.
Yeah, exactly. After that, there was Adam Kleber, which I really liked. I had him in my first round. Harrison Brunicky is the guy I was talking about from Pittsburgh. like those are 4, 5 big right shot defensemen, some more defensive like Elick and E.G. Emery, but Brunicky and Adam Kleber had game in the offensive zone too. At least they were trying. So, and they're both, I think, developing better than expected actually. So it's yes, we would think that big defensemen, right shot, who skates well for their size are always taken earlier. But if we look at last year, no. But last year's draft was deeper though. So
I totally get that. One fun fact about Charlie Elick was that he was billet brothers with Roger McQueen, and then he helped him out. Yeah, so he has some cool stories, pickleball like partners and stuff like that. But I just think that I saw enough from Blake Fiddler, but also he, like you said, like with Henry, I'm gonna botch his name, but
Bruce Devics?
Yeah, Bruce Devics.
Yeah.
Bruce Devics. He, like, his team didn't want to play him as much in the playoffs, which is kind of a red flag.
It's a problem.
The thing about it, like, for this class, since there's a bunch of bunched up things, there's just going to be random facts or tidbits on GMs and scouts board that are like, oh, that happened, so there's no like he goes down. Like, I think this is a class where NHL or the board is going to move daily for some teams, just based on scouting or something you see or like facts.
Yeah.
So, like, we haven't even talked about Ivan Ryabkin, and Ivan Ryabkin was a top 5 player in this class a year, like 16 months ago, like a year and 4 months. But like, could Blake Fiddler fall? I don't know if he's going to be one of the fallers. Could somebody like Ivan Ryabkin fall to the second round? I could totally see it if there's just so many red flags there. Like a player like Jack Murtagh and Cole McKinney and William Moore. I think William Moore for sure should be in this range because he had a really good end of the season. He was somebody that was like in my top 20 in my November rankings, and then he just like fell down because of other players and then his not so great start, which I think was a little overblown. But I think William Moore would be great too. So Blake Fiddler at 24 here would be great. And then a player like William Moore I could totally 25. See going 25. He's somebody that I am higher on than most. Like I said, he was top 20 for me. I don't know where he was in your like summer scouting or November rankings, but he was higher.
He just made it to the first round last week. So
okay. Was that always the case? Like
no. You mean if he was always outside the first round?
Yeah, like November.
He was never in my first round. I mean, I play a lot with my list, so I cannot say never. But if he was there for like 24 hours.
Nice.
But yeah, he was always a guy that was on the brink of making it to the first round, and I think the end of the season helped him. The U18s helped him. Like he was really good. He's a light player, right? But he's lanky, 6'2", but he has decent skating. I think out of we could say the 3 big American player, or the 3 not big American player, but like McKinney, Murtagh, and William Moore. I think he's the best out of all of them. At least the most skilled one. Like Murtagh could be the better player in the end. I don't think McKinney has it in him, but I think maybe Murtagh could be the better player. But William Moore has a little bit more offense in his game, a little bit more playmaking mixed with newfound physicality, and I like him more and more. But 25 seems about right because that's exactly where I have him. So,
yeah, I think William Moore is phenomenal. I know that we didn't put Colin Potter at in that 22-23 range. Would you be comfortable ranking him at 26?
Yeah, makes sense. Like my next player is Henry Brustevics. At that point, both are a little bit question marks to what they're going to do in the NHL. Like, what's their role at the NHL level? So, I think it's perfectly fine. Maybe even before them, I would maybe put Joshua Ravensbergen because he projects.
Okay. Yeah.
Like he's an athletic goalie, right? He's not phenomenal. He's not projecting like a phenomenal goalie, but like he has a 6'5" frame. He's very athletic. He moves really, really quick. Not just the skating, but like in his stance, the way that he moves his body, his legs, when he goes down, goes up, goes down, goes up. He's like super quick on his legs. I think there's decent potential. I don't think he's going to be like a top goalie in the NHL, but he has starter potential. And I think at that point, a starter is probably better than Potter and Bruce Devics.
So the Predators said that they were going to take a goalie, and a lot of people keep saying it's Ravensburgen in the first round because they have 3 firsts. I actually think it's going to be Jack Ivankovic because he projects as a UC Saros type of player, and he's not done growing. His dad is 6'5" and he's 5'11", and he was a goalie. Like this, if this kid grows to like 6'1", 6'2", we're talking about. I mean, you're not supposed to project like anything like that, but I'm just saying like Jack Ivankovic is cool, calm, and collective, and he is somebody that I feel like increased his stock a little bit, a tad, when he won gold. I just feel like Matthew Schaefer said it was the best player he's ever played against. During the offseason, he shut him out during the teddy bear toss. And during the offseason, he practices with Michael Hage, Michael Misa, Porter Martone, not James Haggett, Matthew Schaefer, and Quentin Musty. And so he's somebody that I'm very high on, and I actually think that Ravensburgen will probably go higher because he's 6'5" in that frame. But if we're talking about like somebody that I think could be picked with the Nashville Predators picks later in the first round, I think Ivankovic would definitely be somebody that I would put money on for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to imagine a team going in the first round for a 5'11" goalie. Like you have to expect that he's gonna grow, which is not a given.
No,
but it could happen, but it's not a given. So I think it's risky, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was Lucas Beckman from the Drakkar Bécomo, who's like at least as good as Ravensburgen, but not as big. He's not 6'5", it's like 6'2", something like that. But probably one of the best goalie, if not the best goalies. He's not yet in my first round, but he's like right there on the brink of making it to the first round. I think he's really, really good, very technical, very athletic, but 6'2" instead of 6'5". So sometimes teams will be like that little 3-inch when there's a shot coming at you and you have to move left to right. Well, that 3-inch can be the difference maker between stopping the puck and not stopping the puck. So. And then if you talk about really Ivankovic, then it's 6-inch difference. So the reach is different. Like it's not just how tall he is, it's also the arms, how long they are. Like I have no clue what's Ivankovic how you say that? Arms length, whatever.
The wingspan.
Yeah, the wingspan. That's what I was looking for. So they will know all of this at the combine, and they will be able to make a decision out of that. But I think if you want to go, if you're not a fan of Ravensburgen and you like Ivankovic, but you want something maybe in between, I think Lucas Beckman is a good candidate for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good call. Really good call. It's not the greatest goalie class. Like, let's say you had a player that is projected in the top 13. I think the draft class would look a lot better for goalies because there is a lot of second and third round goalies in this class, but there's just not that top of the line goalie. Like, if you're picking a 6'5" goalie at our draft board is 27, maybe you have him higher. You're not picking him because he's that first round talent at 6'5". You're picking him because he's 6'5" and has the ability to turn into a starter. Yeah, it's projection. Yeah.
Basically.
It's not like a Spencer Knight or, I went really far down, but like Askarov or someone like that. It's Vasilevsky. There's none of those.
No, there's none of those, and I think like you can find really good goalie in the second round and third round, and even later. They're more rare, obviously, but like teams can really find their goalie. Like if you take a class like 2023, like is it Chicago that take Damien Clara?
No,
who is
we
it?
took Adam Guyan.
Yeah. So you took Guyan. There was the other one that's 6'7". I don't remember his name.
We took Harabel Michael Harabel.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Fowler went over there, which is one. He was actually my top goalie.
Anaheim took Damian Clara. There was Trey Augustine that played for basically all the games in the U.S. international play. There was Fowler in the third round, who was basically a brick wall in the USHL playoff. So, like, goalies, they fall. So if you want to take a risk and go on projection alone, you go with just Joshua Ravensbergen. He's going to be there probably by the end of the first round, or like 25 and something like that, or maybe at the beginning of the second round. But there's still going to be good players, like you said, like Ivan Kovic. I don't think Ivan Kovic is going to go in the first round. I'd be very surprised, but I can be very wrong too. But I think
my projection. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I think Ivan Kovic right now is the best goalie of all of them. But nice. if I had to take a bet, I'd probably go with Beckman.
I believe that one goalie at least is going to be drafted just because of that Predators comment. I would be interested to see what the Ottawa Senators do because they kept their pick. Not a lot of people are talking about this, but they had to either forfeit 2025 or 2026. And they kept it, so I'm thinking maybe they go goalie or best player available. But say they pick a goalie here just because it takes 2-3 years extra time than it does usual prospects. Or not 2-3 years extra time, but goalies mature a lot slower than other positions. So I'm like, maybe they go for the first goalie off the board. Maybe it's too high at 21, but you never really know why they kept that pick. Because 2026 is a stronger draft in the eyes of many. But maybe the NHL rescinds that, the punishment. But Ravensbergen is a really good pick at 27 because this is the range of where goalies are going to start going.
27?
Because that's,
who's that? 26?
I believe, because Potter was 26, right?
Oh, yeah, okay. I'm not following.
No, you're all good. There's a lot of players that we've talked about. I think we've talked about 50 players, and then 2024 players, and then 2023. Yeah. I mean, hey, do it all. Like and subscribe. I mean, we've been incredible on this one.
And then we get into the range of, like, a giant range of player who can be at the end of the first round, in my opinion. And in there, there's there's players like you said, Shane Van Zaghi, who deserve to be either a very early second round pick or at the end of the first round pick. Very physical player, probably lacks a little bit on his skating, but I think it's a little bit overblown. At least now, at the beginning of the season, I would agree, but now I think he's better than given credit for. But there's players like, I don't know if, like, probably not a lot of players have them. A lot of people have them in their first round, but I have Alexander Jarovsky from the AMHL. I have Max Pshenishka. That's also, like, I think he hits everything. He didn't have a great production, but, like, he's mobile, he's big, he's a right shot. He's not the most physical, but he does play with intent, right? He can move the puck. He's activating more in the offensive zone too. Like, you can see him a lot trying to be the trailer or move the puck himself across the blue line and go down with it and try to make a play down, like, lower in the zone. Like Ivan Ryabkin, we haven't talked about Vaclav Nestrasil, like we said. Like, I know a lot of people now are higher on Sasha Boumedienne because of the U18, but I never had him in my first round. He's in my block of people that couldn't make it to the first round, but I'm not there yet. I think he's a really good skater, but outside of the U18s, I was not a fan. But
he's in my top 40, but not first round.
Yeah, so there's a lot of players that can go from here to number 32.
So so Václav Nestrasil, Milton Gastrin, and Ish Wozniak are the players, and Bill Zonin are the players that I have. In this range, is there any guy that you have in your, like,
about Jack
top
Murtagh
28 to 33? Jack Murtagh, yeah.
Jack Murtagh would fit in there. Round. Like, players that I have, like Henry Brustevics, Alexander Jarovsky, Max Pshenishka, they're all players that it's because I like them. Like, nobody has them in their first round. I don't think so. Like, especially a player like Jarovsky, who played most of the season in the MHL and then jumped to the KHL for the playoff and did, like, decent. He was pretty good, actually. But, like, there's not a lot of buzz around him, and so I can understand if he moves to the second round and we put a player like one of the players that you said in front of him. I can 100% live with that. They're just players that I like, that I've been watching game, and at some point they just jumped on my eye, and I just like them more than other players. But Jacob Wozniak, he's really good. I think he's a bit streaky maybe as a player, but
yeah.
But he does have the skills, he does have the size, he has a lot of element to be a good NHL player, but he has to take all the tools, put them in the toolbox and close that toolbox. Is the
very well said, yeah.
Yeah. So
he said that he's working on his engagement during games and the focus and just being more consistent, because that's what scouts are telling him to do.
Yeah.
And he said that he's really been targeting that and focusing on that since December. And I actually have seen a little bit of a difference since the tape. If that continues, obviously, focus is hard to continue if that's your main issue. And just staying engaged and playing as hard as you can all throughout games, because we've seen a couple players that kind of disappear. I mean, especially in the playoffs, during playoff time. Are you going to be the player that steps up or the player that disappears when things get tough? So I would actually be okay with putting Ivan Ryabkin here too at 28. I know that you've talked about him. I'm a big Ivan Ryabkin guy too. The thing is, there's a 2026 draft eligible that actually played better in Muskegon this year. So then both of Vasilov, Nestrasil, and Ivan Ryabkin. But Ivan Ryabkin has a ton of upside, and I think that if he just continues to understand the North America game better, he can hit. So, yeah.
At least he's doing better.
Or Jack Murtagh. Yeah, he is doing better. He locked in. I mean, they're still playing.
Yeah, and I love his physicality, which didn't show that much. Yeah, it did show, but not on a consistent basis in the MHL. It's incredibly weird season for Ivan Ryabkin. The guy, and if you take the pedigree or the body of work, you would have expected a guy in the same, maybe not the same level as Mishkov and Demidov, because he never really showed that level of skill and that level of hockey sense, even though the stats were showing that he was going to be something like that. But everybody expected him to be a top 10 player, and now he's often not even in the first round. But like you said, the potential is great. I'm not sure I agree that it's great. I think that it's good. I think the potential is probably middle six in my opinion. I don't think he has really top six, sure shot top six type of player. But he does have a good shot. He has he understands the game more and more, especially since he came to the USHL. He's physical consistently now. I think he needs to add some pace to his game. The decision making needs to be quicker and better. But overall, I think there's a player. I think he's going to play in the NHL. I think it's going to take some time, but the potential is probably not top six in my opinion. I think we kind of lost that kind of hope.
Yeah. He had a Cole Eiserman type of fall, and it happened before the calendar year turned. We all kind of saw it. The USHL, we were all very excited for him to start playing and see what he could do with the pedigree that you said. We thought he was going to be a lot better than he was. He ended up not, fulfilling that type of potential that we thought, or me, when I say we, when I thought.
Yeah.
However, I still think that the potential is still there.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a fourth line player. So if he's just middle six, you have to know, you have to hope that he hits tops, second line or third line. And if he's just not an above average player, then it just doesn't make sense to draft him because he's not going to be a fourth line player, in my opinion. But I still have hope Ivan Ryabkin. If the Hawks draft Ivan Ryabkin with their second pick, I will think that this man could be something. I think he will be. So there's just too much upside. Obviously, it's not always a standard progression for prospects where it's just sometimes there is an inflection point, and I think Ivan Ryabkin can hit that inflection point. He was being he was put in the same tier as Ivan Demidov and Mishkov. Not for the talent-wise, just he was the best Russian player in the class for a very long
production,
time.
His draft -1 season was if I remember well, it was better than Demidov on the same level as Mishkov, which is exceptional. But it didn't work out that way. But it is what it is. And I think it makes a lot of sense at number 28, Ivan Ryabkin. And I would follow this up with Vaclav Nestrasil at number 29. Like, he's in my group of players who could, like, jump to the first round. I really like the size. I like the skating. I like the physicality. He brings a lot to the game. I think he needs to learn how to play in a structured type of hockey. Like, in the NHL, it's not just free-flowing, do whatever you want. He's going to need to, just structure his game a little bit more. Sometimes I have a little bit of a problem understanding what is going to be at the NHL level. It makes me think a little bit like the guy that you guys just signed, which is A.G. Spelisi. He makes me think a little bit of that type of player. So I see him as a bottom six player, most likely, that can bring speed, can bring some physicality, has size. But it's just, what is his game going to be? That's my question.
Yeah, I see his floor as a third-line player. Like, floor if he's in the NHL, obviously. Like, a floor if he's in the NHL. But if Nestor still hits, his upside is very, very high. So I think that does warrant a first-round pick. But I definitely agree. 29 for Nestor still is very good. So to round out our top 30, and then we only have 3 picks left, who is your 30th pick?
A second, I'm just going to put him down so I don't forget him. Oops, not 19, 29. All right. Well, I know you talked about Milton Gastrin that you like a lot. You had Wozniak in your first round too, or?
Yes. Yeah, both of those players. I have Milton Gastrin in my top 20.
Okay. Well, I think it's a right spot for Gastrin. End of the first round, beginning of the second round, it's pretty much where I see him going. I see him a little bit in the same type as Jack Murtagh. We haven't put Jack Murtagh down yet, and I think it's the same type of potential, same type of, like, probably bottom six, third line type of center in the NHL, who, like, a matchup center, right? The type of guy that you put against other team top line so they can be physical against, they can lock down defensively and stuff like that. So I like maybe back-to-back Jack Murtagh and
Ish Wozniak?
No, Murtagh and Gastrin, and then probably Ish Wozniak or something, a player with a little bit more skill, but a little bit less of a, like, less sure thing, if you want. Like, Ish Wozniak makes
less
me think,
of a floor.
Yeah, Ish Wozniak makes me think a little bit of Haltonen, like in London, which just won the most valuable player of the playoff. so he's not so bad, but now he's older. I think he's the same type of player. So
yeah, he's had an incredible streak. If you look up his stats, it's nuts. Like So if he is a player like that or grows into that, Ish Wozniak, for me, like, that would be incredible. I think that would be his upside play. If, like, what he did in the playoffs. But I really do like Ish Wozniak. When you give him a bigger role like Sweden did, he performs really well. Milton Gastrin has really good Milton Gastrin had really good chemistry with a player like Stenberg, which is going to be one of the top players next year. And when you play Milton Gastrin with a player like that, it's just kind of special too. So, those 3 players I think would be fantastic to close out the top 32.
It's who? So we said Jack Murtagh first?
Yeah, Jack Murtagh 31, and then Ish Wozniak 32, and that closes out the top 32 board.
Who was 29? Oh, yeah, okay, it's Vaclav.
Nestrasil, and then Milton Gastrin.
All right, and then Milton Gastrin. Where are you?
I can say, okay, so first, number 1 was Schaefer, number 2, Misa, number 3, Martone, 4, Desnoyers, 5, Hagens, 6, McQueen, 7, Frondell, 8, O'Brien, 9, Eklund, 10, Bear, 11, Martin, 12, Murka, 13, Jackson Smith, 14, Lyndon Lakovich, 15, Justin Corbinal, 16, Braden Coots, 17, Cole Resney, 18, Malcolm Spence, 19, Kayshawn Aitchison, 20, Cameron Reed, 21, Logan Hensler, 22, Jack Nesbitt. 23, Kindle. 24, Blake Fiddler. 25, William Moore. 26, Potter. 27, Joshua Ravensbergen. 28, Ivan Ryabkin. 29, Vaslav Nestrasil. 30, Milton Gastrin. 31, Jack Murtag. And 32, Ish Wozniak. So that closes out our top 32.
Yeah. It's a beautiful board.
It's a beautiful board. But thank you so much, Blue Chip Prospects, for joining me. And my dog wants to say hi too.
Hey.
This has been fantastic.
Yeah, it was great.
I very much enjoyed our conversation. I could talk puck for hours, which we did. But yeah, this was fantastic.
Well, I'm happy you liked it. I liked it too. And I think, like I said, it's a beautiful board. It's there's always players that are left on the board that you would want to be able to put in your first round. I keep saying that this draft is not as deep. I think the problem is not that it's not deep, it's that the big tier between the 17 and like 40 is not as good as last year's tier that went deep. But there's a lot of player that will make the NHL out of those players. Like a lot of good player by the end. We put Milton Gastrin and Murtag at 31, and like those are good players. So it's a good draft. It's just, I don't know where I'm going with my thought. It's just
no, that's great. Like Zeev Boyum last year is not going to 13. Like in this class,
he was not supposed to go 13 last year.
No, he was not. No, in a redraft he wouldn't go there either. I was very high on him, but yeah, just this is a class that's kind of, what do you want? What kind of tea are you going to take to drink? And then, or that's a terrible, terrible comparison. But honestly, this is a class that I think does have some depth. So if you are a team with multiple first round picks, I think you're going to get some pretty good players. Yeah. Maybe not superstars after the top, 10 or 11 or 12 or whatever, like potential. But I think that there are going to be some players that do pop. Yeah. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me. This was great.
Cool. Bye.
See ya.